Welcome everybody. This is the third session of our writing foundations in academic essential skills in academic writing. Let me go ahead and share my screen. So last time we talked about your academic voice, scholarly voice. We talk about APA, our online libraries. We talk about all of that. Meron kayong tanong sa APA? Sa citation, sino may tanong sa inyo? Bakit hindi kayo nakaka-perfect sa test?
Hindi po namin memorize to.
Bakit nag-retake kayo ng same test mas bumaba pa yung score niyo? Same questions lang naman. Ibig sabihin lang noon, honest kayo. Ibig sabihin, you didn't take a screenshot tapos kinopya na lang ninyo. Yun ibig sabihin. Kaya lang, ang ibig sabihin din yun, nagmamadali siguro kayo, you were careless, gano'n. Pero that's okay. There's no shame in that. Walang ipinanganak na magaling sa APA. Okay? I have to take 2 grad schools, 2 masters, tapos isang doctorate before I was really good at it. Tapos then they converted it into 7th edition. Pero that's okay. There's no shame in that. So yung mga pinag-aralan natin, how to write your references. I gave you nasa Canvas yung APA references sample that I created. And we did some citation exercises. Now, let's go to paraphrasing. Why do we paraphrase? Paraphrasing, what is a paraphrase, by the way? Paraphrase or paraphrasing is retelling the story using your own words. Bakit natin ginagawang paraphrasing compared sa direct quote? Kasi when you are just quoting people's work in your writing, then you are just like a parrot. Alam niyo yung parrot, yung they just mimic the people's words and phrases. Para ka ng parrot. So you are an academic writer, you don't want to be a parrot. Pag binasa nila yung dissertation mo, tapos puro lang siya direct quote, sabi, ano to, parrot? Meron loro, di ba? So we want to paraphrase because when you paraphrase, you are showcasing that you understood what you borrowed. At the same time, you are lowering your flag scan similarity rating index. So maabot talaga ninyo yung 6%. It is achievable kasi when I wrote the research study na pinablis ng Wesleyan, mine was 6 point something lang and it was 60,000 words. Okay, so it is possible. At the same time, I know sa dissertation writers and seminar students na naghahabol tayo ngayon, after this, I hope we can get done early so I can talk with the dissertation seminar students kasi we need to start working on your prospectus, which is about 2,000 to 3,000 words. And you will submit that to the dean, and then once the dean approves that, then you can start working on your proposal. So unahin natin yung topic, which what we've done last night. We'll talk about it today so we can finalize it. You will submit that to SOLAS, and then when the dean says, okay, the topic is good, then you can write your prospectus. A prospectus is a proposal in a skeletal form lang siya. Wala siyang masyadong content, pero nandun yung parang mini proposal siya. Pero when the dean says na nakita niya na yung takbo ng proposed study ninyo, then he can says, go ahead and write your proposal. Then we can write the the proposal, chapters 1 and 2, which are 60,000 to 80,000 words. That's doable. Kahit na naghahabol tayo dahil konti na lang yung natitira sa semester, that's doable. Okay, when Dean Subia asked me to write that research study about dito sa Guam, I wrote everything from the time that he told me until I submitted the manuscript. It only took me 3 weeks. Pero talagang walang tulugan. And I was not employed then, that time. Last year ko ginawa yun eh. So it was 3 weeks including data gathering, pag-invite ng mga participants in the middle ng lockdown. Talagang walang lumalabas dito. Tapos data gathering, everything. It took me 3 weeks. And then they didn't publish it for another almost a year. So it is doable. Pero you need talagang wag na kayong matutulog. Pag kasi kayo natutulog, sagabal sa pag-aaral ng pagtulog eh.
Okay, Ayala, sir.
Huwag kayong natutulog. Joke lang po yun. Kailangan nyo din magpahinga para fresh yung utak. Alright. So, when we paraphrase, we are showcasing that we understand what we're writing and what we're borrowing. Okay, so we need to paraphrase kasi hindi tayo parrot. Let me show you this video on how to paraphrase. This is also in Canvas.
You're here. Probably know a thing or two about paraphrasing, but still struggle to master the art of it. Fear not. I'll explain how to paraphrase in 5 easy steps and give you a few tips along the way. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Jessica from Scribber, and we're here to help you achieve your academic goals. And in this video, we'll be talking about paraphrasing. So, what is paraphrasing? A paraphrase is a rewriting of a specific passage from someone else. It's done in your own words, without changing the original meaning and also not removing any information. Okay, we know the meaning, so let's get started. Here are 5 easy steps to paraphrasing. Step 1. Read the passage several times to fully understand the meaning. Step 2. Note down the key concepts. Step 3. Write your version of the text without looking at the original. Step 4. Compare your paraphrase text with the original one, and if you find phrases too similar, make changes. Step 5. Cite the source of the text like the example here. You can also cite easily with the Scribber citation generator. Remember, you don't need the quotation marks to paraphrase. Okay, I know what you're thinking. You know the steps, but it's still quite difficult to actually produce a piece of text that's different from the original. Don't you worry, I have 4 tips to help make everything easier for you. Whenever you see this little pause button, it's there to remind you if you ever need more time to read through the examples, you can pause and take your time. Tip number 1. Start your first sentence at a different point from the original source. Tip number 2. Use synonyms. Make use of the thesaurus if you can't think of any synonyms. Tip number 3. Change the sentence structure. Try using passive voice if the original text used active, and vice versa. Final tip. Break long sentences into smaller sentences, or combine sentences into a longer one. In this example, you can see we've applied the 4 tips. First, we introduce the context followed by the last part of the original sentence, which is the expectations of creators, regulators, and users. We also use quite a few synonyms, such as exposed a critical turning point, made it apparent, outpaces, rapidly eclipsed, power, immense influence. Third, we change from active to passive voice. Technology outpaces what users, regulators, or even its creators expected. The expectations of creators, regulators, and users have been rapidly eclipsed by technology. And finally, the original was 1 long sentence. We broke it into 2 smaller sentences. Now that you know the tips for paraphrasing, make sure you don't confuse it with quoting, which is when you copy a source word by word. Naturally, you should end up paraphrasing most of the information you found instead of quoting if you have done your research thoroughly, which is ultimately a better solution since it shows that you have digested your text, your paper will have a much better flow, plus your voice will remain dominant throughout the paper. With that being said, only use quotes when you are giving a definition, presenting an author's position, or when you want to support your argument. Make sure to check out this video on how to quote if you're interested. And that's it for today's video. If you've learned something, give this video a like, and if you have a question, ask away in the comment.
Okay, so that's paraphrasing. One thing that I would like to warn you about that video is that you have to watch your passive voice. Kasi sabi niya, they changed the sentence structure into passive voice. But remember, in APA style, we need to be very careful using passive voice kasi nawawala yung actors. Nawawala yung actors doon sa sentence kapag passive voice. For example, the test papers were submitted to the teacher. Yun, it's a passive voice. Who did that? Who did the action? Di ba wala? Who submitted the test papers to the teacher? Well, di nakalagay. So, just be very careful kapag passive voice. This is from Dr. Robert Schaefer, also an instructor at University of the People, my colleague. Ito yung kanyang ideas about paraphrasing na sinishare niya sa mga estudyante niya, and I also share with my students. So sabi niya, you need to read the original work as thoroughly as you can, paulit-ulit, hanggang sa talaga ma-digest mo mabuti, and you need to understand the context of what you're borrowing. Okay, it's important na meron lang, hindi po pwede yung may nakita lang kayong isang sentence sa isang article, tapos kukunin na ninyo yun, ano ba yun? Pero hindi nyo alam yung the whole context. Baka out of context yung pagbabasa ninyo. And then take notes and create a short list of the salient points of the passage. Ano bang, di ba, yung mga big ideas about this, the passage that you're borrowing. Then close it or minimize the browser, and then before you even beginning to type, para hindi kayo masyadong nakadepende doon. So kailangan ang paraphrasing really comes from your mind, from what you have understood, from your understanding of the source. Kasi kung merong naka-open yung browser tapos nagpa-paraphrase kayo, baka masyado pa rin siyang similar. At least while you're starting. Ako kasi I can do it while I can paraphrase while reading. That's because I'm used to it. Pero sa inyo, if you're not used to it, it's better that you close it, minimize it. And then after you've paraphrased it, then check your paraphrase with the original for QC. Okay? I know madaling basahin at sabihin, pero mahirap talagang practicein. And again, the keyword is practice. And I want everybody to know that there is no single way of paraphrasing. The way I paraphrase things are different from the way you would paraphrase it. And that's totally fine. As long as we are faithful and loyal to the original intent of the authors. Hindi natin binabago yung gusto nilang sabihin. Hindi natin binabago yung intention nila. Babaguhin natin the way they said it, the way they wrote it, because we will write it using our own words. Pero hindi natin babaguhin yung kwento. Kung nanood kayo ng Downton Abbey, episode ng Downton Abbey, tapos ikukwento ninyo sa kasama ninyo, hindi nyo babaguhin yung kwento. Pero syempre, babaguhin nyo the way it was said. Hindi naman nyo i-verbalize yung dialogues nila na, di ba? You will just say na, sinabi niya kasi ganito, tapos sumagot si ganito. Ganun. Tapos ang nangyari ganito. So, yon. Okay. You also don't have to paraphrase the entire sentence or the entire paragraph. Sometimes the sentences are long or the borrowed sources are long. I just paraphrase the gist only, or the essence or the idea of what I'm borrowing. And then try to change as much words as you can. Although there are some words that you really don't have to change, like globalization, motivation, yung mga ganon. Yung mga keywords, you don't have to really change them. You can keep those important words, especially kung wala naman silang paraphrase equivalency. Another warning that I want to give you, doon sa video, sabi niya, use synonyms. Sometimes when we use synonyms, yung mga synonym words na nakukuha natin sa thesaurus, sometimes those are different pa rin. So just be very careful, okay? Be very careful when you're using synonyms or thesaurus. So an example, this is an example, and this is my strategy. If you want to use this strategy, then you are very welcome to do so. If you want to watch more videos sa YouTube, how they do paraphrasing, marami namang mga credible tutorials sa YouTube, then by all means, supplement this learning. So this is from Ryan and Desi. Sabi niya, intrinsic motivation is defined as the doing of an activity for its inherent satisfaction rather than for some separable consequence. When intrinsically motivated, a person is moved to act for the fun or challenge entailed rather than because of external products, pressures, or reward. Medyo mahirap na siyang intindihin. Pero yan yung gusto kong i-borrow from Ryan and Desi. And this is what I do. I highlight those key phrases or keywords. So ano sabi ni Ryan and Desi? Doing of an activity daw, inherent satisfaction, for the fun or challenge, external products, pressures, or rewards. Yun yung mga highlight ko. Tapos, ginawan ko siya ng ibang kahulugan. So doing an activity is working on a task para sa akin. Inherent satisfaction, I changed it to gratification. For the fun or challenge, enjoyment. Tapos external products, pressures, or reward is remuneration. Kasi intrinsic motivation is the motivation that comes from within a person. Yan yung intrinsic. Yan yung mga bagay na ginagawa nila isang bagay because they love doing it. For example, I love teaching at Wesleyan. It's not because I get paid. It's because una-una hindi ko naman na-access actually yung pera tapos lagi naman siyang late. But I do it because I have fun doing it. I enjoy sharing my ideas with all of you because I feel like I am multiplying the knowledge and I know that you are going to use these best practices that I've shared so that you can also share with your students. Di ba? Namumultiply natin yung knowledge, namumultiply natin yung learning. So na-improve natin yung quality ng education sa Pilipinas. So that's my motivation. Hindi, not because, sabi ni Ryan and Desi, not because of external products, pressures, or rewards, or yun yung mga bayad, hindi dahil sa bayad. So I changed it to remuneration. So what I did is that I just formed a new sentence, a shorter sentence na hindi ko naman binabago yung idea ni Ryan and Desi. So sabi ko, an intrinsically motivated individual, I changed that from intrinsic motivation sa individual na an intrinsically motivated individual. Okay? An intrinsically motivated individual finds gratification and enjoyment in working on a task and not on any remuneration. So that's how I paraphrased it. So kung makikita ninyo yung original source na mahaba at saka yung paraphrase ko, mas umiksi na siya, mas maliwanag na siyang intindihin. Although I stayed loyal pa rin sa gustong sabihin ni Ryan and Desi. And kung mapapansin ninyo, ang direct quote ay mayroong quotation marks at saka mayroong page number. Sa paraphrase na wala na din. And this is still an in-text citation. Parenthetical annotation. Another thing, if you want, you can change it into a narrative citation if you want. So gagawin ninyo, Ryan and Desi, quotation mark 2000, posited that an intrinsically motivated individual. Ganun. So pwede nyo din, para mabago din nyo yung sentence. So you can change a direct quote, parenthetical citation into a paraphrase narrative citation if you want. Pwede din yan. Okay? So dito pa lang, medyo madali, di ba? Medyo madali. As long na mabago nyo yung, makunin yung mga key phrases, palitan lang ninyo siya, and then buuin ninyo ulit yung bagong sentence as long as you are being loyal pa rin and faithful doon sa original intention ng authors. Another example, intrinsic and extrinsic pa rin ng mga volunteers naman. Okay? Sabi dito, the intrinsic motive is the accounting for internal satisfaction and considering volunteering as a consumption good, and the extrinsic motive is treating volunteering as an investment instrument whose returns are the expected external rewards. Medyo hirap intindihan, no? Pero I wanted to use this. So what I did was I cut it into two. I paraphrased it twice. Inuna ko lang muna itong intrinsic motive. Okay? Itong portion na to, intrinsic motive. Yan ang inuna ko. So the intrinsic motive is the accounting for internal satisfaction and considering volunteering as a consumption good. Ano ibig sabihin nito? So ano ba yung gusto kong keywords? Internal satisfaction. Ano ibig sabihin ng internal satisfaction? Tsaka ano ibig sabihin ng consumption good? So for me, ang internal satisfaction is self-fulfillment. Tapos consumption good is personal contentment. Kasi yung consumption good, when I research ano ibig sabihin ng consumption good, ang ibig sabihin niya, when you consume something, meron kang satisfaction, parang gano'n, na meron kang satisfaction na experience. Halimbawa, pag kumain ka, nabusog ka, that's consumption, then you feel satisfied. So it is actually a personal contentment. Hindi ko na pwedeng gamitin yung word na satisfaction kasi meron na doon yung satisfaction. So contentment. So the intrinsic motive is the accounting for self-fulfillment and considering volunteering as a personal contentment. Hindi pa yan natatapos. So ganyan ko lang siya yung next step ko. And then binago ko yung sentence. The intrinsic motive, pinalitan ko na din siya sa people. Hindi na yung motivation itself ang focus, kundi yung people who are intrinsically motivated. So the intrinsic motivation of people to volunteer. Okay, the intrinsic motivation of people to volunteer is their self-fulfillment and personal contentment. Yan yung part 1. Ngayon pa tayo sa part 2. Sabi naman niya, the extrinsic motive naman, yung ano yung motivation ng mga volunteers, ano yung extrinsic motivation nila, natatanggap nila sa labas, external. Ganon. So sabi ni inong original source natin, the extrinsic motive is treating volunteering as an investment instrument whose returns are the expected annual external rewards. So isa na ang extrinsic motivation daw nila yung investment instrument. Ano ba investment instrument? Tapos ano yung expected external rewards? Kayong mga CPAs, you know what it means, di ba? If you invest in something, you're looking forward to some dividends. Parang ganon. So kaya that's why I'm investing my time volunteering din sa charity na ito because I know that there's something in it for me. For example, siguro meron kang makukuhang, may i-add mo yung experience mo sa yung resume, so ma-improve yung resume mo, it's for may matatanggap kang recommendations, makapag-network ka, so lalawak yung network mo for promotion, mga ganun. So yun, that's why people volunteer kasi meron din silang na-expect, di ba, na it's worthwhile. So that's how I saw it. So for me, the extrinsic motive is treating volunteering as a worthwhile endeavor. Sulit yan. That's why I'm doing this kasi I know it's gonna be sulit. Tapos meron siyang tangible benefits or external rewards. It's tangible, nakikita. So I rewrote it. The extrinsic motivation is a worthwhile endeavor with a prospect of tangible benefits. Then pinagsama ko lang siya. Ito yung original natin. Then pinagsama ko lang siya. Yung dalawa nating pinaraphrase. So I paraphrased it in two sections kasi two different ideas are contained in one sentence. The first part of the sentence is about intrinsic. The second part is about extrinsic in one sentence. So that's how I also paraphrased it. So the intrinsic motivation of people to volunteer is their self-fulfillment and personal contentment, while their extrinsic motivation is volunteering in a worthwhile endeavor with the prospect of tangible benefits. Wala na quotation marks, wala na ding page number, although you are allowed to include the page number. And nahahabaan pa rin ako. So even my own paraphrase, I paraphrased it. Or I actually changed it into yung sinabi ko narrative citation. So Day 2018 explained that intrinsic motivation. So naging narrative na siya from parenthetical. Tapos nga, sabi ko kanina, even my own paraphrase, inahabaan ako. So iniksaan ko pa rin siya. Pwede ko pa rin gawin yan. Okay, intrinsically motivated volunteers value self-fulfillment and contentment in doing the job, while those extrinsically motivated look forward to something in return. Ganon. So, these are the way I paraphrase things. They are not the only way. May kanya-kanya tayong way of retelling stories. So don't think na yung sa inyo mali, yung sa akin tama, o yung sa akin mali, sa inyong tama, ganun. We have different ways. Like what I said, basta ang importante, nababago natin yung words as much as we can, but we are staying truthful doon sa ating original source. Hindi natin pwedeng sabihin yung sinabi ni Day na okay, hindi natin pwedeng baguhin yon. So, let's do some exercises. And I will monitor sa ating group box. Huwag kayong mahiya. I hope sanay na kayo na we are in this together. If you could paraphrase this, turn your wounds into wisdom. Sabi ni Oprah Winfrey. I know most of you have maybe remembered this. So what do you think were your paraphrase last time? So go ahead and sa chat box. Turn your wounds into wisdom. Ano ibig sabihin ni Oprah Winfrey dito? Yung mga nakipag-break sa jowa, alam niyo to. Ano ibig sabihin? Merong gustong actually sumagot verbally, orally. That's fine too. Okay, use your knowledge and experience to lead in your destiny and success. Okay. Learn from your mistakes.
I learn from your mistakes. Yeah, this is exactly what Grisel Aposto has said. Learn from our mistake or learn from your mistakes.
Okay. Okay, learn from your mistakes. Sino pa po?
Hazel po.
Go ahead, Ma'am Hazel.
Transform your challenges into opportunities.
Okay. Transform your challenges into opportunities. Okay. Sino pa po? Pains and suffering make you stronger. Siguro yun, Ma'am. Make your downfall as inspiration. All right. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead po kasi I wanna move along very quickly. Ang sa akin is learn from your painful experiences. Kasi yung wounds naman is not para sa akin again, it's not hindi ako yung tama, hindi ako yung mali, ganun. Different ways of interpreting this. Pero para sa akin kasi yung wounds are not necessarily our mistakes. Maybe they are just our agonies or painful experiences, di ba? Halapag iniwan tayo ng jowa natin, maybe it's not even our mistake. Pero if we know that we made the mistake, and di ba, then we have to learn from, grow from it. So it depends on the context. Again, understanding the context. Okay, but those are all good. Convert your agony into life fulfilling. All right. Thank you po. Next one. The greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. From former President Nelson Mandela. Real gives strength and confidence to face any challenges. All right. The greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. So paulit-ulit nating basahin hanggang sa ma-digest nating mabuti, and then let's look for those keywords. Anong ibig sabihin ng keywords na yon? And then let's just rewrite it. At saka is importante din po when we paraphrase, mas iiksihan pa sana natin yung kesa sa original source for brevity. Kasi we need brevity sa ating pagsusulat. White lies saves your day. Okay. So ano ibig sabihin nito? Anong tinutukoy ni Nelson Mandela dito? Do not give up, okay? So never falling. Ano ibig sabihin ng never falling? Ano pagkakaintindi niyo sa sinabi niyang context niya dun
Sir,
sa...
I think ang ibig niya sabihin is when you're making mistakes,
Okay.
when you're committing mistakes. So I think for me, sir, sorry, verbal na lang ako sasagot. Nahihirapan ako mag-construct ng Sir, I think the gist of the quote is, it's not about how many times you make mistakes in your life. It's what we do about them. It's how we rise above those mistakes that will define our lives.
Come back stronger, sabi ni Mr. Jason, never quit. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. So sa akin, life is not avoiding defeats, but about trying again when unsuccessful. That's for me. Okay. So great, awesome. Okay, let's do some more. All right, I'm reading your chats po. These are all good. All right, great. So very famous. Sabi nila, this is the heart of the Bible, the heart of the gospel. How are you going to paraphrase this? This is a little bit of challenge. Sabi ni Ma'am Shari, success is not measured by all the mistakes that we have done, but on how we tried our best to correct them. Absolutely. The power to get up after giving up. Or the power to get up without giving up even. We don't give up. Be strong in any challenges. Winners never quit and quitters never win. How about this po? What about the unconditional love of God, Ma'am Lorraine? Has to be complete thought pa rin siya. Make it a complete sentence. God saves humanity. Okay, let me show you mine, For me, is that God proved His love for us by sending us Jesus, so that when we put our faith in Him, we will live forever, or we will be saved. It has to be complete thought pa rin. We're retelling it without using so much similar words. Okay. Next, medyo academic na konti ito. Ito, how about this one? By 2021, an estimated 75% of the workforce will be comprised of millennials as Generation X managers retire. Paano niyo po ito ipa-paraphrase? And again, you don't even have to paraphrase everything kung ano lang yung importante dito. Or you want to paraphrase everything depending on how you want to use it. When we put God as our center of everything, nothing is impossible. Gimanda yan, Ma'am Joy. God saves us from our sin. Okay. Yes po. Paano ipa-paraphrase yung 2025? Paano ipa-paraphrase yung 75%? Paano ipa-paraphrase yung millennials? Generation X managers will be replaced mostly by millennials by the year 2025. Okay. %75% of new generation are retired managers. Di po. Kasi 75% actually are millennials. Sabi nyo dito. Millennials will take over by year 2025. So ang nakikita ko pong mga issues dito, unang-una, pag sinabi nating millennials will take over, parang 100% ng pagkakaintindi ko. Okay, in the next 4 years, Generation X will be replaced by millennials. Kay Ma'am G. Jane, that became a passive voice, but that's okay. In a few years, okay. Yung ano naman din, yung most at saka in a few, parang nawawala yung actual count. Okay, there will be substantial. What does substantial mean? At saka ang from Generation Z to millennials, actually ang mga Generation X is different from Generation Z. It's Generation X, my generation, millennials, most of you, tapos Generation Z, yung mga estudyante nyo ngayon, sila yung mga Generation Z. 75% will take by 2025. 3 years from now, millennials will be our next generation. All right. For me, in 4 years, okay, around 3 out of 4 jobs will be held by the millennials. Or you can put in 4 years, around 3 out of 4 jobs will be held by Generation Y. Basta sa paper ninyo, na-explain na ninyo before that millennials are also called Generation Y. So you can change that too para mapalitan nyo din yung word millennials. Or you can keep the millennials. So in 4 years, kung ngayon ito mapapublish, in 4 years, o kung next year kayo gagraduate, next year mapapublish, in 3 years. Okay? Kailangan within that time, the same time. In around 3 out of 4 jobs, an estimated around, okay? Estimated 75%, 3 out of 4 jobs will be held by the millennials. Okay, all right. Great, next one. Okay. Although recruiting competent employees is critical to building an effective workforce, of equal or even greater importance is retaining those employed. Retaining those employees. Although recruiting competent employees is critical to building an effective workforce, sabi niya, although daw yung pagre-recruit daw ng mga competent na mga empleyado ay critical sa pagbuo ng isang epektibong workforce of equal or even greater importance, kasing halaga din ito, even mas mahalaga pa actually, ang pag-retain ng mga employees. So imbis na mag-recruit ka daw ng mga competent employees, mas maganda, mas mahalaga daw na i-retain mo na lang sila. Sabi ni Cho and Song. Paano niyo po ito ipa-paraphrase? Retaining competent employees are most valued in the company. If we could change po yung words na retaining competent employees, kasi those are still part of, I can still see the word retaining competent employees. So we need to paraphrase pa po. Para bumaba pa yung similarity rating index natin. Maybe the word employees, change them to workers or team members. Ganun. O ano ibig sabihin ng competent? Stellar employees. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng competent? Employee retention is better than hiring new ones, sabi ni Sir Albert. Okay, so we can move along po ha. Keeping workers in the company is most valued. Maintaining your tested and proven workforce is better than testing new ones. Yes, keeping workers, yeah. Recruiting intake must be balanced, sabi ni Sir Jason. Recruiting tsaka retaining daw, must be balanced. Building an effective workforce, giving a strong reason for the employees to stay is much more effective. Para sa akin, it is better to keep highly skilled workers than lose them and hire new ones. Mas maganda na lang na i-keep ko yung highly skilled workers ko kaysa naman umalis sila tapos mag-hire ako ng bago. Why? Kasi expensive. Napaka-expensive ng employee turnover, tapos mawawala yung knowledge na nila. Minsan may mga customers din sila na sasama sa kanila pag lumipat sila, di ba? So it is better for me to keep highly skilled workers than lose them and hire new ones. All right, thank you po. We'll do just a couple more. Eto. And then we can move to our next topic. Different trainings to existing workers will be better. Yeah. So with the booming development of globalization of economy and popularity of the internet, cross-cultural communication between countries has become a common phenomenon at every moment in this world. Booming development of globalization of economy, popularity of the internet, cross-cultural communication between countries has become a common phenomenon at every moment in this world. Globalization mobilizes communication all around the world. Globalization, communication. Okay. I see the word, yung globalization, maybe you don't have to paraphrase it kasi ano ba naman ang paraphrase equivalent ng globalization. Pero the word, yung world, maybe we can change that word, the word world mobilizes communication. Tsaka maybe meron tayong na, yeah, it's close though, pero maybe we can make it clearer pa. Sino ba po? Isa pa. So we can move to the next one. Okay, Sir Jason, the rapid growth of globalization and technology energizes the flow of communication across the globe. Yes. Utilizing internet is current and better way to communicate all over the world. Yes. Globalization is easier access to information technology. Yes. Po. Modern technologies commonly used crossing different countries for better communication. Okay. The interdependence of countries, globalization, I tried. The interdependence of countries and the advancement of the internet allowed people of various cultural backgrounds to exchange information instantaneously. Sabi niya kasi at every moment, sabi niya kay instantaneous sa akin. At every moment in this world, okay? Or people of every ethnic background can now connect with anyone, anywhere in the world thanks to globalization and the internet. So at least I still retained yung gusto nilang sabihin kasi importante sa akin yung cross-cultural communication. Hindi ko siya tinanggal kasi, di ba, that's very important. So mas nagiging faithful ako sa kanila if I retain that kasi gusto nilang especially Jiang and Wang, para mga Asian it's important na we retain yung gusto nilang sabihin na wherever you are, whatever your ethnic background is, cultural background, you can connect with anyone instantaneously thanks to globalization and the internet. Yes po, all right. Thank you. Nababasa ko pa yung ano ninyo. Okay, so that's paraphrasing. Hindi siya madali, pero with practice, and I promise you, the more you do this, it'll become second to nature. Okay, when you keep constantly doing this, so stay away from direct quotes as much as possible. Just paraphrase and paraphrase, and you'll get better. Now, the next step is synthesizing. So after we borrowed, we copied from our borrowed sources, so we can paraphrase it. What is the next step? The next step is for us to synthesize. Tulad ng explanation ko last time, hindi naman po pwede na you just pupunta ka sa korte, sasabihin mo na, Your Honor, itong gun na to, this is my evidence, and you will let the gun explain himself or itself kung anong naging role niya. You as the lawyer, you will have to give the background and the role of that gun and bakit siya ang strong evidence. That means explanation. You need to explain your borrowed sources, and this is where synthesizing comes from. Let's watch this video.
An important part of writing a literature review is synthesis. But what is synthesis? Well, synthesis is kind of like a puzzle. It requires you to put together different pieces of research from multiple sources to form a new picture. Depending on how you organize the pieces, the story you tell will look a little different. The process of synthesis goes farther than just summarizing sources or even comparing and contrasting multiple sources, and beyond even mere critiques of sources. When synthesizing, you are not just direct quoting other authors without using your own voice. It requires you critically analyze the literature by determining major themes, strengths, weaknesses, and critical gaps. Ultimately, you engage in synthesis to make your own point and add to the conversation. As you read article after article for your literature review, you should start to see the conversations surrounding your topic. Ask yourself, what are some of the common themes or subtopics that keep appearing in the articles I'm reading? Make note of these conversations or main ideas because this will help you organize your lit review. Instead of organizing your lit review source by source like in an annotated bibliography, Synthesis requires you to organize idea by idea. What is the conversation surrounding the main idea? To really know that conversation, you need to have looked at it from multiple perspectives, or sources. You need to evaluate each source and then ask yourself, how does each source relate to my research question? Jot down those thoughts as you go. The sources you choose to include, your analysis, and how you organize them in a meaningful way make your literature review unique. This means you're developing your own understanding of the literature and explicitly stating what it means to your research. A helpful tool you can use to engage in synthesis is a research matrix, which helps you begin to organize by idea and then add your own thoughts as you read articles. If you need help with your literature review, ask a librarian. Helps you begin to organize by idea and then add your own thoughts.
Okay, just want to freeze here kasi may tanong si Ma'am Hazel kung kailangan na ba mag-paraphrase sa literature review matrix. You don't have to kasi hindi naman natin ito iraran sa flag scan. Pero you see this, pwede kayong magdagdag ng my thoughts. These are your thoughts, so pwede idagdag. Then you can just write your thoughts. Ang literature, kasi sa inyong mga background, sa mga hindi nakakaalam, itong advanced business research students, they were required, they submitted it last night to create a literature review matrix, and they submitted it last night. So that's the background of Ms. Hazel's question. The literature review matrix, the reason why it was not submitted in the discussion forum, kasi sa inyo lang yan, for your eyes only. That those are just the things that you are going to use, and you can even add more. And I ask that as you do your assignments, especially nag-start pa lang kayo sa inyong, marami sa inyo nag-start pa lang sa PhD, sa mga academics ninyo, kung pinagagawa kayo ng mga assignment, tapos may mga napupul kayo mga articles na tugma sa topic ninyo, save those articles and add them sa inyong literature review matrix para later on, when you do your literature review or when you write full-blown dissertation, meron kayong access sa literature review matrix na pwede yung, meron pala akong article about dito. Ganun. So now you don't have to paraphrase po. Sometimes you can even add direct quotes that you can use. Pwede itong quote na to, pwede kong gamitin sa literature review ko, pwede kong gamitin sa methodology ko. Just add the quotes, just make sure to put where the page number is, and then later on when you write, just paraphrase it. You can paraphrase it. So you can do that too. It's up to you. The literature review is a matrix, is just a template, but you have the free hand to modify it the way you want it. Okay, this is just an idea. So sabi nga dito, if you want my thoughts, that's totally fine. My thoughts or yung mga notes ninyo, ganun, or yung mga other ideas that you can use. So that one, then let's watch another video about this.
Synthesis is a lot like, I like to say, analysis on steroids. It's a lot like analysis, where analysis is you're commenting or interpreting one piece of evidence or one idea, one paraphrase or one quote. Synthesis is where you take multiple pieces of evidence or multiple sources and their ideas, and you talk about the connections between those ideas or those sources, and you talk about where they intersect or where they have commonalities or where they differ. And that's what synthesis is. But really, in synthesis, when we have synthesis, it really means we're working with multiple pieces of evidence, okay? And we're analyzing them. So here's an example for you. In this example of Ng, 2016, that's source number 1, right? Then Sonfield, 2015, that's source number 2. They both are using this theory and found that it reduced costs by both 12% and 17%. So this is my evidence, right? I have one sentence, but it has two pieces of evidence because we're working with two different sources, Ng and Sonfield, 1 and 2. In my next sentence, my last sentence here, we have my piece of synthesis, because I'm taking these two sources and I'm saying they both found something very similar. They confirmed that adopting the theory of financial management reduces costs for small businesses. So I'm showing the commonality between these two sources. So it's a very sort of, not simple, but a very clean approach to synthesis. It's a very direct approach to kind of showing the similarities between these two sources. So that's an example of synthesis, okay? Another example here. So Sharp found that one thing helps students Barnes found that another thing helps students focus. 2 different sources, 2 different ideas. In the bold sentence of synthesis, I'm taking these 2 ideas together and talking about how they both have worked well in my classroom. The synthesis that we have here kind of take 2 different approaches. The first example is more about how these studies confirm something. The second example is about how these 2 ideas can be useful in my own practice. I'm applying it to my own practice, or the author is applying it to their own practice in the classroom. But they're both examples of synthesis and taking different pieces of evidence and kind of showing how they work together or how they relate. Okay, I kind of like to think of synthesis as taking 2 pieces of a puzzle. So each piece of evidence is a piece of the puzzle, and you're putting together those pieces for the reader and saying, look, this is the overall picture, right? This is what we can see when these 2 pieces or these 3 pieces of the puzzle are put together. So it's kind of like putting together a puzzle.
So synthesis or synthesizing is putting things together, utilizing what we already know. Kasi we incorporate the ideas of the others and our ideas using our experiences and repository of knowledge so that we can add new value to the discussion. Pero a reminder, our voice should be the strongest. So what does that mean? Ano ibig sabihin nun? Ibig sabihin nun, when you write your paragraph, I always encourage you to use 2 to 3 peer-reviewed articles, and then you need to find their commonality, and then you need to synthesize what they say so that you can explain what they mean. Okay? For example, let's try this. Evidence 1. For example, sabi ng evidence ng author 1, animals in captivity are finding it difficult to mate and procreate. Sabi ni author 1. Sabi naman ni author 2, there is a high rate of depression among animals in captivity. What is their commonality? Anong sinasabi ni na authors 1 and 2? What do they say? So there are 2 things that I want you to do here. What do they say, and what do they mean, and what do they mean? And then, and pangatlo din, if you want to use 3 sentences, then what can we do? What should we do? Okay, pwede din yon. So you just put this together, and then use what your experience. When I say what, incorporate what you've experienced, incorporate your own experience and knowledge. Ano ibig sabihin doon? Ang ibig sabihin doon, when I see this, anong pumapasok na lugar sa isip ninyo? What one place na nakikita ninyo? Animals in captivity. Cage animals. Ano nakita niyong lugar sa isip ninyo? Zoo, yun pala, meron pala.
Zoo, yes.
Zoo, yes. Zoo, di ba? Yun yung ibig sabihin ng incorporating what you already know, yung mga experience ninyo. You try to see what it means sa inyong context. Sa context natin, it means zoo. Okay? Yun ang ibig sabihin nun. So, anong ibig sabihin ng authors 1 and authors 2?
Or animals in the zoo.
Ano po?
Find it difficult to reproduce.
Tapos? Yun yung una. Yung pangalawa?
Due to depression, sir.
May depression. Kung nahihirapan sila mag-reproduce, tapos meron silang depression, ano ibig sabihin nun? Ano ibig sabihin nun? So, authors wanted to say that animals in the zoo are not happy. Diba? Yun ang ibig sabihin nun. They're not happy at all. We enjoy going to the zoo, but the animals, they're not happy. Kasi according to, paano sila magiging happy? They can't mate, they can't procreate. Tapos may depression sila. So yung isa, that's yung isa. So ano ibig sabihin nun? So what can we do? This is part of synthesizing. This is what I meant whenever sa inyong mga former students, whenever I say synthesize, always synthesize. This is what I meant. You have to explain what they mean. You have to explain what these authors mean. Don't let your borrowed materials explain themselves. You have to explain them to your readers. So I use source number 1, then I use source number 2. So sabi ni Dr. animals in the zoo are not productive due to stress and environment. Yeah, so that's what it means. That's what it says. So what does it mean? Well, it means they're not happy. Yun yung second sentence na ninyo. So first sentence ninyo, when you explain this, pwede nyo gamitin yung sinabi ni Dr. Rojo, animals in the zoo are not productive due to stressful environment. And then sentence number 2, when we capture animals, they are really not happy. And then number 3, so what should we do? What should we do? Then let's leave them alone in their natural habitat. That's what it means. Leave them alone in their natural habitat. So, kung ang aking point, the point that I want to raise is that we should really not capture animals for our own enjoyment. Kasi I am guilty on this kasi when we lived in San Diego, we had a subscription pass sa SeaWorld San Diego. They have cage animals and they have like the orcas, the killer whales, sinasakyan nila and everything. It was entertaining. It was entertaining for our kids. So meron kaming annual pass every year. Pero later on, I realized when I learned more about it, these animals are really not happy. They're being taken care of, but they really are not happy. So sasabihin ko sa una kong statement, ang point ko, let's leave the animals alone in their natural habitat. That's my main point. Ngayon, gagamit ako ng evidence. According to author number 1, animals in captivity are finding it difficult to mate and procreate. In addition, according to author 2, there is a high rate of depression among them. So, ang aking synthesis na, sabi ni Doc Rojo, na animals in the zoo or animals in SeaWorld are not productive due to stressful environment. Animals who are in captivity are really not happy. So, let's leave these animals alone in their natural habitat. If they are injured, we can capture them so that we can rehabilitate them, but at the end, we still have to release them into their natural habitat. That's my entire paragraph. Do you think if I write like that, it's a strong paragraph? Na hindi lang siya opinion? It becomes strong because meron akong dalawang peer-reviewed articles. I can even add another one. Okay, so that's what it means, that your scholarly voice should be the strongest kasi I only use 2 to 3 peer-reviewed articles, pero my synthesis is still stronger than my sources. I just use my sources as supporting evidence to my own assertions. Hindi yung mga borrowed sources ang nagiging majority sa aking sulat. So nakikita ninyo what I explained last time when I said your scholarly voice must be the strongest. Hindi po pwedeng kuha lang tayo na kuha from different sources and we put them together. Nawawala yung scholarly voice natin. If we follow this, our own scholarly voice becomes the strongest, becomes the most prominent in our paragraphs. And our paragraphs are solid because we synthesize our ideas with peer-reviewed articles. Let's practice. I hope we can finish this in 20 minutes. Let's practice. I'll give you a couple examples actually. Evidence number 1, sabi ni Lily, a college degree makes a person more marketable, sabi ni Lily. Sabi naman ni Perry, I actually watched this is Dr. Perry, Steve Perry. I was in one of his, he was one of our guest speakers noong residency ko sa Tampa, Florida. Sabi niya, people who pursue higher education are happier, sabi niya. So sabi niya sa amin nun, if you pursue grad school, you are happier compared to people who don't pursue grad school, yun sabi niya. So I used those 2 pieces of evidence and I put it together and I said, what Lily and Perry said, higher education can help a person secure a healthy financial and emotional well-being. That's what they say. That's how I put it together. Okay? Yun yung aking synthesis. So that's a synthesis is only this first part, but you can add more kasi again, you have to explain your evidence more. Okay, we'll do that in the next topic. Pero this is the first step, finding the commonality. So according to Lily and Perry, if you have a college degree or higher education, you are actually healthier financially and emotionally. Next, you guys try to do this. Sabi ni Pollock and Hausman, employees have reported a massive amount of emails they have to send and receive on a daily basis that resulted in increased stress. Sa dami daw ng emails na they have to go through every day sa kanilang workplace, Nadadagdagan ng kanilang stress. Sabi naman ng Burgos, many large corporations are banning emails because their employees report managing emails as a waste of time and impedes productivity. By the way, itong aking sources, I paraphrased them already. Okay, these are already paraphrased. Just want to let you know. So how are you going to put this together? Use your repository of knowledge and experiences. If you have experience with this, nagbakasyon ka lang ng isang long weekend, pagdating mo sa office, ang dami ko na namang email. They have to respond to this vendor, respond to this boss, respond to my boss's boss, respond to my employees, respond to my students, diba? So how are you going to put this together? What do they mean? What do they say first pala? Ano commonality nila? What do they say? Then what do they mean? Then what can we do? What do they say? What do they mean? Then what can we do? So try to synthesize, and if you want to answer or if you want to put in the chat room. So let's try to write 3 sentences. So what do they say? What do they mean? And what can we do? 3 sentences. Okay, sabi ni Ma'am Dayan, email should be streamlined in order for the employees to be managed, in order for the employees to manage it more systematically. So that's the first sentence. What would be our second sentence? So what does that mean? Actually, that's actually your second sentence. That's what it means. So what do they say first? Or actually, that could have been what can we do? That's the third sentence too. So let's do the first sentence. Ano ibig sabihin? Anong gusto nilang sabihin? Anong gusto sabihin ni Pollock and Hausman and Burgos? What do they want to say? Kasi kay Ma'am Dayan, meron na siyang action agad. What can we do? What do they say first? Anong gusto nilang sabihin? Ma'am Sheila, responding to emails are time consuming at most of an employee's working hours are not spent productive. Okay, that's good. Some emails are unnecessary. Okay, so what do they mean? So responding to emails are time consuming and they are sometimes are not necessary. Yun gusto nilang sabihin. So what does it mean? What's number 2? Second sentence. So according to Pollock and Hausman and Burgos, responding to emails are time-consuming, and they are unnecessary, and they impede productivity. They are not spent productively. Okay, so it means emails are systematic approach in answering emails gives employee efficient and productive day. So if there should be a systematic approach or management of emails. Okay, although not the word management, then we can say na Employers and employees are burdened with the bulk of emails. They need to employ time management to address this problem. You guys are there. Yes, I like it. Tapos sabihin na natin yung, gamitin na natin yung last, as our last sentence, yung sinabi ni Ma'am Dayan kanina. So this is mine. Sabi ko, ito yung una ko, a high volume of emails is becoming a nuisance to businesses. So businesses need to step up and implement strategies to manage emails more effectively. So that could be our third sentence then. Okay, so you guys are there. Thank you. And then, hindi na natin gagawin ito, but I'll just show you. According to Keshua, our poor emotional support from the superiors contribute to employees' occupational distress. Kapag daw poor ang emotional support ng mga supervisors, nagkakaroon daw ng occupational stress yung mga employees. Sabi naman na Sisman et al., if employees are satisfied naman with the way their managers treat them, including fairness and ethical behaviors, they are more likely to be able to handle the stress. So this is talking about how supervisors and managers treat their employees and how employees take them as either in their emotional well-being sa trabaho nila. Are they able to handle the stress or it contributes to stress? Kapag pangit ang pakikisama ng supervisor ko sa akin, it adds to my occupational stress. Pero kung magandang pakikitungo ng supervisor ko sa akin, kahit anong stress pa kaya kong i-handle, sabi ni Sisman. So putting it together, it is clear that managers and supervisors can make a difference in the lives of their subordinates. They have a crucial role in ensuring that their workers can manage work stress. So providing resources, emotional support, and fair equitable treatment are welcomed by the employees. So that's just one way of synthesizing it. Okay, we have 15 minutes. Now the last part is paragraphing. Now you know how to search for peer-reviewed articles using the library, EBSCO Host, JS Store, Google Scholar, and other open access journals. Now, meron na din tayong Audilo. You know how to search for direct quotations and block quotes that you can retrieve from your sources. You know how to do that, and then you know how to paraphrase those direct quotes and block quotes. So you can use your critical thinking skills in explaining what your borrowed sources say and mean, and then you know how to synthesize. Now it is time for us to create our paragraph. This is our last topic. So using the meal plan format, I want you to write using this format with 4 main portions of your paragraph. First is your main idea. That is your first sentence. Your first sentence is the topic of your paragraph. This is a strong thesis statement. And normally, this is the statement that answers the question. Kung ang tanong ko sa inyo, for example, ay what are the disadvantages or what harm does plagiarism do in the academe? Ang main idea ninyo, that is the sentence that answers that question normally. Okay? Or kung meron naman kayong 3 topics, for example, ang topic ninyo ay what are the 3 ways of combating COVID? Well, sabi niyo, meron 3 ways. First, vaccination. Yun yung first paragraph ninyo, vaccination. Second paragraph ninyo, wearing mask. Then third paragraph ninyo is washing hands. For example, yung 3 yon. Or fourth paragraph ninyo is social distancing if you want to. So, if you have topical paragraphs, then you can use paragraph 1, paragraph 2, paragraph 3, paragraph 4. You are answering one question. So then I want your paragraph to be like this then. So ang main idea niyo, first one is vaccination. One of the best ways to combat the virus is vaccination. Then kung maghanap na kayo ng 3 pieces of evidence, then explain niyo using analysis. And then the lead out, the L, sometimes it's also called the link, which means you conclude your paragraph or you lead it back to the main idea. That is why it is important for us to have our vaccinations done in as quickly as possible. Parang ganun yung the lead out. So there are 4 parts of the meal plan. First, main idea. Second is evidence. 2 to 3 peer-reviewed articles. A is analysis. That's A. Ginawa na natin synthesis. And the 4th is lead out. Just a concluding sentence or a link to your next sentence or a link to your main statement. Kung topical paragraphs yan, so ang lead out ninyo ay and aside from vaccination, it is also important for us to wash our hands daily. Then yun na yung pumunta na kayo sa second paragraph. Yun yung you will lead to your next paragraph. Okay, so the L has different ways that you can use. Either you conclude your paragraph, You can link it to the main idea or you can lead it to your next paragraph. Okay. Sa inyong mga na-handle ko na, I always say this tayo sa inyong work, do not begin or end a paragraph with a citation. That's important, okay? Although there are some exceptions, okay? This is not an absolute rule. There are some exceptions. Sometimes you also need to begin a paragraph with a citation. Sometimes sa methodology ninyo, ganun, minsan inuuna natin talaga yung sa methodology section. Pero sa literature review ninyo and most of your dissertation, please follow the meal plan format. So this is a, for example, sa higher education kanina, ang main point na I want to say, higher education has both tangible and intangible benefits. For example, that is my main point. That is the main idea of my paragraph. It's only one sentence. It can be 2 sentences if you want to. Then ginamit ko na sina Lily and Perry. According to Lily, a college degree makes a person more marketable. Furthermore, these are transition words. Please make sure to use transition words. Hindi lang according to Lily tapos according to Perry. Ganun. Make it like a paragraph. Furthermore or in addition, ganun. Minsan pwede din kayong gumamit ng two contrasting evidence. That's fine too. Sinabi ni Lily na college degree makes a person more marketable. Pero sabi naman ni Juan, there are a lot of college degree holders who are unemployed. Ganun. So pwede naman, pero that's how, ganun. Pwedeng contrasting evidence. It's up to you how you're going to analyze it. It's up to you how you're going to explain that to your readers. Pero that's totally fine. Okay, so evidence has to be 2 to 3. I encourage you to use at least 3 peer-reviewed articles. Then analysis, what does it mean? What does it say? What does it mean? And what can we do? Then lead out. Okay, lead out or link. So a college or graduate degree helps an individual achieve their goals in life. Parang summarize mo na the whole paragraph. Okay? And then just put it together. This is what your paragraph looks like. Higher education has both tangible and intangible benefits. Anong evidence mo dyan? Well, here are my evidence. According to Lily, a college degree makes a person more marketable. Furthermore, people who pursue higher education are happier, according to Perry. So a person who earns a higher degree has a greater chance of landing a high-paying job. They also tend to be more satisfied in life. Therefore, higher education can help a person secure a healthy financial and emotional well-being. A college or graduate degree helps an individual achieve their goals in life. So, ganon. Okay? This is your academic paragraph. Another example, ito yung email natin kanina. Emails are becoming an occupational hazard. That is our main idea if you want to make that point. Tapos ito yung ating evidence, sina Pollock and Hausman tsaka sa Burgos. Tapos yung analysis natin, while emails are a great communication tool, an overload can prevent employees from performing their duties. Consequently, a high volume of emails is becoming a nuisance, so businesses need to step up and implement strategies to manage emails more effective. This is the same what you've actually written in the chat room. I just stated it in a different way. So the lead out, workers can deal with emails on a limited basis so they could focus on more important things. This is also from here. What I want you to watch out in writing your paragraphs, you have to stay in your topic. Okay, stay in your topic. Kasi marami ako napapansin, the way they write paragraphs, napupunta sila sa iba't ibang topic. If you are in one paragraph, please contain your topic within that paragraph. Huwag pa iba-iba ng topic. You have to stay focused. You have to stay on what your sources say. Doon lang kayo magbase sa sinasabi ng sources. Kung hindi sinabi ng sources ninyo, huwag niyong isusulat. So just put them all together like this. So this is your paragraph. Okay. And lastly, about the team leaders. Team leaders can influence their subordinates' stress management. Sabi niya, tapos ito yung 2 pieces of evidence kanina. Analysis, it is clear that managers and supervisors can make a difference in the lives of their subordinates. They have a crucial role in ensuring that their workers can manage work stress. Providing resources, emotional support, fair and equitable treatment are welcomed by the employees. Ito kinuha ko itong resources, emotional support, doon pa rin doon pa rin naman sila Okay, fair and equitable treatment, fair and ethical behaviors. Doon pa rin siya. So I still took them from my evidence. In conclusion, team leaders can make their team members either stressful or stress-free, which is linking to my main idea. Team leaders can influence their subordinates' stress management. Kasi sabi ni Keshwa, either they can make their employees contribute to occupational stress, or it can be employees will be able to handle their stress. Nasa supervisors yun, the way they treat their employees. Okay, yun yung pinaka-topic dito. Either they can make your life a living hell or heavenly. Nasa sa team leaders yun. So they need to know that. Okay? So they can make your life either stress-free or stressful. Then just put it all together. So that would be your academic paragraph. Stay within the topic. Okay? That's it for me. Here are the additional resources, and that's a canvas na din ito. If you want to take a screenshot, if you don't have any canvas, take a screenshot. Again, I encourage you to visit Trident University's core webinars, especially if you're writing a dissertation. There are a lot of webinars about publishing and quantitative webinars dito. This is where I took my MBA. A lot of you have already taken your anti-plagiarism test. Sino pa sa inyo ang hindi pa nakakuha ng certificate? Okay. I am going to stop recording.